Welcome to Eagle Spire Gaming. I'm your host, Crown, and today is April 3rd, and we have Grey Penance episode 17. We have finished the Serperos Overlord Heavy Stalkers, and if you are new to the channel, you're wondering what is a Grey Penance. Well, I have all these models behind me, and there's more above that to the left and below and to my right, and there's just so many models. I had them all on my table one time. It was a mess. And I have to finish some of them. I have to finish all of them. I've finished most of them. I have to finish all the Legions Imperialis ones before I can buy any more Legions Imperialis. And eventually, maybe one day, I will get to the larger stuff. Because Legions Imperialis is a small game. It's a very big game played with very small models. And I have a bunch of other models that are very big. And I want to get to those too at some point, and that's just probably never going to happen if I don't stop buying and focus on these. And if you're new to this channel, be sure to subscribe so you can stay caught up when we do post more videos. And if you like this content, hit that thumbs up so that I know and I can keep making more for you. And it's Thursday. We're a little bit into the month, and I had wanted to finish all of my Stalker constructs, all my Dark Mechanicum, in March so that April could be nights and May is also going to be nights. I did finish Monday, which was the 31st. I just haven't been able to get around to this video because it's taken so long. But it's Thursday now, and I have already seen the new Warhammer community post article up on their website, and they announced some tarantulas for Horus Heresy. Yay. They're not for us. They're for the people playing with the 28mm models, playing Warhammer 30K, as it is. And but they showed the Hyperios air defense missile and another missile launcher that was more of a fragmentation. What was it, like the orbits or something? A new tarantula that we don't have yet, and hopefully one day we will. But right now, the big scale guys, they get that, and we don't yet, and we will have it soon. And they might have already had the Hyperios in resin, but they didn't have I don't think they had the new one. But it's going to come. Everything takes time. We still have to wait for the Mechanicum stuff. It'll be in a new book, and hopefully it comes with, hopefully you also get, like, the Heavy Bolter one, too. And that'd be good for clearing out some infantry. But, yeah, things to come for the future one day, eventually at some point. But in the meantime, we have these guys finished up, and they are beautiful. I'm glad I'm finally done with all of I finished all my Dark Mechanicum. I have no more Dark Mechanicum to do. These guys were all of it. So 3 boxes worth of stuff. Got them for Christmas. I posted a little video already about how I painted each step. Lots of customization with these guys because they got so many different legs and you can alternate them. And some of these guys, we'll have some pictures in here where I used different legs for each guy, and then we'll have some where I used the same set of legs for each individual model. And it creates a different look. And if you really want to get into, like, you know, your customization of your guys, you can get away with some pretty interesting stuff. You know, you can have these guys look like they're walking all around, they're stepping on things. You might have some extra rhinos where they can just be stepping through and crushing them, and it'll all be awesome and great. These guys are big models, nice and tall, and you know, they really stand above any of the lesser stalkers, any of the smaller stalkers, and definitely bigger than a lot of tank, you know, even a super heavy tank, even a Solar Auxiliary super heavy, the Baneblade, the Hellhammer, the Stormhammer, all of them, they're all smaller than this. This thing's, I don't have any Knights finish to compare it to, but man, it is huge. I do have a Titan. It's pretty big compared to the Titan too, to the Warhound. Not bigger than a Warhound, but you know, it's up there, right? And lots of surface for you to paint, lots of stuff. I you know, in the video I talked about that, but it's mostly contrast until you get to the metallic. It's all contrast until you get to metallic stuff. But yeah, so let's talk about the models real quick. Move 7 is pretty good speed for these guys. It's as fast as a Baneblade, right? With a 2-up save, again, same thing as a Baneblade, and 2 wounds, just like a Baneblade, just like a super heavy, right? CAF 3, so, you know, it's not the most impressive thing. It's going to get clogged up in close combat. They have no fear. They have no morale. You cannot scare them away. And what I don't have written on this page is they have Construct Shields 2, which means if you shoot at a unit of them, you shoot at a unit of 2. The smallest you can take them in, unit of 2. You shoot at a unit of 2 of them, your first 4 hits are going to be eaten up by those shields. They never come back, unlike Titan shields, but, you know, these are a lot cheaper than Titans, and they get, you know, they really stack that durability. A larger unit of them, a unit of 6 of these guys, that's 12 shields you have to get to before you ever get to actually even hurting a model, to ever actually get to the point where I have to start rolling those armor saves. So that's quite a durability feature. They come with 2 primary weapons and 2 secondary weapons is what I'm going to call it, because the primary weapon, you know, coming out of the forehead or the back or whatever you want to call it, and then your secondary weapons are shorter ranged and they're coming out the belly. But you either get the Exoplanar Bombard, I feel like a cannon should be added in there somewhere, and or the Storm Laser Array. And for my guys, I went 4 and 4 with these weapons, right? I have 4 of them with the Exoplanar Bombard because looking at it, right, there's no, the Storm Laser Array has light AT, and that means you don't have any armor penetration against vehicles. But the, you know, the other one, there's armor penetration. We get the AP1, which is nice, you know. I can't tell you how many times it's hard to get people to roll a 1 when they only, it's hard to get people to fail an armor save when the only thing that'll fail is a 1, right? So I like having a little bit of AP there. Both of these guns, 15-inch range, you know, it's not fantastic range for anti-tank weaponry. It's not fantastic range for taking out tanks when you compare it to things like a Vanquisher cannon. But it's pretty long compared to the other weapons that we've seen for either the Mechanicum as a whole, let alone the Dark Mechanicum, let alone the Stalker constructs, right? 15 inches is pretty good, actually. And they both have a decent number of shots, both hitting on 4, either 3 shots or 5 shots. Now, your Exoplanar Bombard has bypass, so if you shoot a whole bunch of these guys at a Titan, you're getting past their shields. They don't get to use the void shields at all. You just get right past that shield. The problem is you're hitting something that has an armor save of 2 or even 1 with only an AP 1. So you're going to need a lot of shots to actually get that Titan down. You have Ignores Cover and you have Shred. Ignores Cover is really more, you're going to see that a lot more with, in my mind, you see it a lot more when you're shooting into a building. And Shred is, you know, forces, it's like Armor Bane, but for infantry. So, the Exoplanar Bombard is actually pretty good against infantry, too. The Storm Laser Array has that light AT, so no armor penetration against vehicles. It has rapid fire, so rolls of 6 to hit count as you get an extra hit, you get an extra roll. And you got Shield Bane, so even though it's light AT, you can still shoot this at a Titan and get rid of its shields, right? Void shields, otherwise light AT weapons don't do anything against it. And it's got 5 shots. So doing the math, according to statistics, the Storm Laser Array is better against infantry in the open, walkers, and even tanks, vehicles. Even all the way down to Baneblade, Super Heavies, the 2-up saves. The Storm Laser Array statistically does more damage. That doesn't matter if your opponent never rolls 1s, right? If you need him to roll a 2 for him to fail something, the Exoplanar Bombard, statistically it's 0.06 less chance to get a wound, right? The Exoplanar Bombard will do 1 model firing an Exoplanar Bombard should do 0.50 damage to a 2-up save vehicle, whereas a Storm Laser Array will do 0.56, right? Not a big change there, but yeah, as you go up to higher save vehicles, the Storm Laser Array is actually, it's better. It gets better. So I kind of feel like maybe I wish I had made more of those, but let's talk about the secondary weapon. You get the Las Cutters, Serperos Las Cutters, and the Irradiation Engine. And these are both shorter ranged weapons. The Las Cutters are, you know, similar to the Las Cutters on the other Stalker constructs. They're 1 shot. It's only 4 inches. This one's a 2-up to hit, so it's gotten even better with its hit, and it's AP3. If you remember, the little guys, the Harpex guys, they have like AP 1 on their las cutters, and I think they're 5 up to hit. So these have made a huge, these are much bigger las cutters. They've gotten much better. They're still anti-tank, bunker buster, engine killer 1, and rend on these things. So, if you want your Serperos to get into close combat, having rend is kind of nice, but rend is, these things probably, with the construct shields, you probably don't want them getting into close combat. You're not making good use of those construct shields. Could be a nice little distraction, but infantry is just going to clog, swamp you, swarm you, clog you up, you'll choke to death on their bodies. And you don't want to do that. You want to use these things against bigger targets, tanks and things like that. But if you did want to shoot a building, a 2 up to hit with an AP 3 on bunker buster, that's you got pretty good chance you might be able to do it with just 175 points of Serperos. And then we have the irradiation engine, which is 3 shots, much more range. It's still only 10 inches, but that's a lot better than a 4 up, a lot better than a 4-inch range. It's a 4 up to hit, AP 3, which does nothing until, you don't get to keep any of that AP when you shoot at a vehicle because you have light AT. It ignores cover, which is nice. So if you pair that one with your exoplanar bombard, that's, you're able to shoot into some infantry. Even if they're in buildings, you're not really going to care. You're just going to rip them up. And if you add that with, the 5 shots from the storm laser array, you're looking at 8 shots that are light AT, and 5 of them have rapid fire. You got to get kind of close, but that's a lot of damage to something. Obviously, the las cutters do more damage to vehicles and stuff, just because it's got so much more AP. I think if you gave the exoplanar bombard more AP, it would actually be better than the storm laser array against some vehicles. Maybe not all vehicles, just because volume of shots matters so much more to a vehicle that has a very low save anyway. But yeah, I like, so there's 4 different weapons with 2 options, 2 slots, two options per slot. There's 4 ways to build these guys, unlike the Malcador, where there's 36 different weapon combinations. Personally, I built 3 different weapons, 3 different setups, right? I did 2 storm laser array and both options, right? So I did 2 storm laser array and las cutters, and I did 2 storm laser array and irradiation engines. And my logic for that was, some of these guys are going to get in closer, and I can use the some of these guys are just going to get in closer and can use that bunker buster, the las cutters, and then sometimes and I'll back them up from a distance with just all the shots I can. And then I built 4 exoplanar bombards with the irradiation engines, and my thought process there was that's going to be, at a range, that's going to be the best for taking out tanks. I was a little wrong in that statistically the laser array is better, but I like this because I get to have the AP -1. Also, there's a formation of the legend that requires that loadout, and we'll talk about that in just a second, though. But yeah, let's look at their damage output. So we've got damage output versus a 2-up vehicle, and you can kind of extrapolate from that as you go up to higher save vehicles. But a Kratos, we're comparing against a Kratos, because Kratos did more damage than it and is slightly cheaper. How much more damage does it do? Well, at 20 inches, the Kratos can start opening fire with its main cannon. Some of its weapons are, out to 22, but that's a small difference. And you've got a 75% chance that one Kratos, which is about 10 points cheaper than a Serperos, and it gets more cheap. It gets even cheaper as you start to, put those extra models into the detachment. At 3/4 of a chance at 20 inches. And the Serperos doesn't start shooting until 15 inches, where it'll have either a 5 or either half a chance, 0.5% chance, 0.5 or 0.56, depending on which weapon you take at 15 inches. And But at 16 inches, the Kratos is doing 0.86, right? So once you come online, once your Serperos can start shooting, you're 11% less you're doing 11% less damage. 11% less of a damage is how I should say that. At 10 inches, the Kratos is doing 1.02 damage, and this is firing the battle cannon with the secondary weapon profile, as opposed, which is just as good as the Melta Blast Gun, with 2 extra inches of distance. But once your Serperos gets into 4 inches of range, if you are using the other loadout, if you're using the best killing a tank loadout, which would be that Las Cutter, you could be doing 1.12 damage, 1.12% of a damage. One damage in 0.12% of the next damage. Numbers. So the Kratos is cheaper with better range. The Serperos does have better durability, and that's the difference in the damage, right? If I'm using the longer range option, if we're using the Irradiation Engine and the Exoplanar Bombard Cannon, you're doing, and you stay at 10 inches of range, and you only get to 10 inches of range, you're doing 3/4 of a damage. I don't know if that's going to be helpful for anybody to see, and I might have said some of that wrong. But, there it is. Maybe this is helpful for you. And if you like that, let me know, and I'll continue posting that up. I'll continue doing that kind of comparison to other things. Let's talk about formations. We got 3 options that we can put these guys in. And the first one is the Purge Protocol Cohort. I said that wrong again. I've already done 7 takes trying to say that right. How is that a tongue twister? Is it? I don't think it is. Anyway, it has 1 slot that you have to put a detachment of these guys in, of these Serperos Overlords in, and there's 2 choice slots you can do. Those aren't optional slots, those are choice, because it's either put them in or put more light tanks in, more Cyclopses in. You have the option for 2 battle tanks, 2 battle tanks and a Cyclops detachment that you can put in here. And if you put the Cyclops detachment in there, you get access to this formation special rules, which is basically whatever the Cyclops, a unit that the Cyclops hits, you can re-roll 1s against that detachment with any of your detachments, with either your archers or your overlords, if they are within 8 inches of the Cyclops. Now, while that sounds like a pretty good bonus, a pretty good buff to have on your guys, right? Especially when you consider, some of your weapons have a pretty low to hit roll. Rerolling 1s means that you're pretty much always going to hit with your las cutters, right? Here's the thing: the longest range gun that the Cyclops has is 15 inches. Which is fine. Your Serperos also has a 15-inch gun. It has 3 shots that are 5 up to hit, which means if you want a 100% chance, statistically speaking, if you want, to hit these guys, you might want 2 Cyclopses, and Cyclopses are 75 points apiece. The second one's 70 points, but and that gun that you're shooting at them is light AT. So if you're trying to use this against tanks, it's not the best gun, that's not the best thing to be hitting with. The Las Cutter has a 3 up to hit, only 1 shot, and a 4-inch range. That would be a good gun to point at somebody and use to get rid of their, to give you a reroll of 1s. But you still probably want 2 people in there to make sure that this works. You want to kick this off. You need to make that work. Here's the other thing: it's a single. That's not a lot of damage that you're doing with the Cyclops itself. So what you end up doing is you're using an early activation to boost a later activation. This gives them time to fire off that unit. You're not doing a lot of damage to that unit with your first shot, with your first detachment. They could destroy your second detachment before you ever get a chance to use it. It's it's messy. It's a bit of work. It may not play off for you. It may not pan out well, right? You may not want to put all your eggs in one basket for this. It's not a clear-cut winner, right? Some of the other detachments for the Dark Mechanicum, like the bonus is just there. You move faster. You tie down tanks. I mean, that's always tying down tanks with an infantry unit is always gonna be beneficial to you. When are you not gonna have tanks to tie down? If your enemy doesn't have tanks, then there's no tanks to even worry about. So there you go, right? This is gonna be trickier to use. You could put, if you had a single Cyclops with with your las cutter and you wanted to shoot a building and then guarantee that the next 2 shots are going to hit that bunker and bust it open, re-rolling 1s on a 2-up to hit weapon, that's pretty good. That could be an option. I think you got to put a lot of eggs in this to make it work, and it may not be even worth it, because is that enemy detachment even large enough to justify doing this much damage to it, right? You might want to have, if you're playing games where there's large detachments, that's when this would really work well in your favor. The next detachment, the next formation that we can put this is just a Dark Togma Sub-Covenant, and you've got 1 slot in there. It's a choice slot, and you're going to be choosing between either having a battle tank there or the heavy armor, or the Serperos Overlord. Pretty straightforward with this one. This is just a Togma. If you're using other Dark Mechanicum units that aren't exclusively the Stalkers, this is the one to go for. This is a valid option. You're going to be having other stuff in there. It's just a place that you can put some Stalkers, right? And unless you have battle tanks that you can't put anywhere else, good choice, good place for them to go. Your last option is the Formation of Legends, the Sibyllins Togma, and that gives you mandatory a detachment of 6, right? With Formations of Legends, they tell you exactly how big the detachment's going to be, and they tell you how you're going to load these guys, right? So you either have 1 detachment of 6 or you have 2 detachments of 6 if you take the whole thing, and the whole thing's expensive. It's like over 1,000 points. It's like 1,400 points or something. It's a lot of models too. You're going to need quite a lot of secutors. But I mentioned this. I brought this up. I teased at this earlier. This is where my loadout came from, right? So if you have the Exoplanar Bombard, and you're actually going to need to arm them with something called an Irad Scourger. That is what the rulebook says on page 81 of the Rise of the Dark Mechanicum. These guys are supposed to be armed with 6 Serperos equipped with Exoplanar Bombards and Irad Scourgers. There's no rules for that. The instructions, there's no rules for that on the data sheet, on the detachment sheet, and there's nothing about that in the instructions for how to build that. I did not see Irad Scourgers anywhere. We're going to assume that they mean Irradiation Engines, as Irad Scourger is definitely nowhere close to saying Serperos Lascutter. So we're gonna go with that. We're gonna go with Irradiation Engine for those. But yeah, fun, right? Anyway, if you take that, and the compulsory choice 944 points, the expanded detachments is 727. So it's really, I said, I was saying it was like 1,500 points or something. It's like 1,600 points, almost 1,700 points, right? But if you take that and you keep your Overlord within 8 inches of your Cyclops, you increase the range of your weapons by 4 inches. Now, the Overlord's going to be the only person benefiting from those 4 extra inches, but that is a huge upgrade to your weapon. It is worth noting that in this detachment, they also have the Cyclops. They have those in units of 4, armed with the Storm Lasers. So I built 4 of these guys with the Irradiation Engine and the Exoplanar Bombard. because I thought, oh, you know, then I kind of have like what they want for that. You know, if that's what they're using for the formation of the legend, that's got to be a pretty good choice, right? So I like that option, and you know, I like that detachment. I think that formation is one of the better benefits, you know, of the two that actually give you benefits to this, to these guys. That one's the better benefit. Rerolling ones is nice, but it's going to be harder to get. This one is just there. It's just giving you plus 4 inches. Now you have a 19-inch gun, primary gun. You have a 14-inch secondary gun, or 8 inches on the Bunker Buster. If you, well, no, you wouldn't get to use that. Never mind. I like it better. Worth noting that they do have that Cyclops detachment in units of 4. So maybe a unit, if you want to, you know, use a unit of 4 to give yourself the Purge protocol, that might be helpful. But you could absolutely run that without having the Cyclops. And that's what I've seen people say online that how they're doing it. But love to hear more feedback from you guys if you are using it a different way or plan to use it a different way. I already have 2 boxes of these guys. I already have 8 of them. Maybe see how, you know, I'll see how I like them, see how they play, and I obviously have to get through the rest of the gray pile of shame before I can ever get more. Maybe I'd want more. I think right now, though, I only have the 1 box of Stalker constructs. I think I need, you know, 1 or 2 more of those to give myself A, more horror packs, and B, more of the archers and everything. But right now, the way I've got my Dark Mechanicum, the way I have everything is these, you know, I'm not going all in on spiders. These guys are supplemental to the rest of the Dark Mechanicum. They are, you know, a bit of the, they're not the backbone of my Dark Mechanicum forces. They're just more of the toys for them to play with. And I kind of like it that way. I do want more of the Stalker constructs just to get more of the bunch of guys and stuff. You know, have a nice big unit of butchers sounds fun, right? But yeah, I'd love to hear you guys' feedback and everything on this. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm going to try to keep doing them this way, and I will, and if you had a chance to watch how I painted it, I hope that was also to your liking. And I need to do another battle report. We need to do more battle reports, I think. I think that's what the internet wants. I think that's what the people need, is battle reports. So I'm going to work on those too. It's just hard to find time for everything. I appreciate you guys' patience with everything. But this has been Eagle Spire Gaming. You guys have been awesome. Thanks for flying by.